Okay, welcome everybody and thank you for attending. Just a few housekeeping rules to start with. So all attendees will remain on mute for the whole webinar. If you do have a question, please use the question boxes if it's related to a topic, or the chat box if it's related to the actual webinar. So for example, you can't hear. We will answer questions after the demo, but if we do run out of time or if the answer does require a bit more time to be spent on it, we'll answer directly offline. And please note that a link to view the webinar recording will be sent out to all attendees shortly after the demo. Apologies, that was our fire alarm test. So this is the 18th in our series of monthly webinars on key areas of NAV and Business Central. And you can sign up for as many as you like on the website, and I'll show you the list of upcoming ones at the end of the session. We also send out regular emails to register for the next one. So my name is Karen and I'll be facilitating the demo today. I'm an account manager here at TVision and I've worked here for 2 years, and my background is 18 years of software account management experience working for ERP companies. Ian will be doing the demo and he's a support consultant here at TVision, and he's been working here for 3 years and has been using NAV since 2000. Okay, so on the subject of smart filtering, filtering is a great way of utilising the data that you have in NAV or Business Central in order to answer key questions, find out key information, or to produce a report. So there are many ways to filter the data depending on what you're trying to do. It can be by date, range, value, or dimension. So for example, you may want to have a view of your top 10 customers. You may know who they are and just want to have a list and pick them manually. Or you might want to determine who your top 10 customers are by sales revenue, or for example, those which pay on time. Or it could be that you want to use a combination of 2 or more values. So do you want to your view to change as certain parameters change? So using the previous example, if your top 10 is decided by sales revenue, then this list is likely to change if your customers purchase more of your products or services, or if indeed you get some new customers on board. And once you've filtered your list, you may want to save it for quick access so you don't have to go through the same process again. Another good thing about filtering is that the keyword or value that you're looking for doesn't have to be at the start. So by using a wildcard or typing in an asterisk at the beginning will allow you to search for that value anywhere in the field. Okay, so these are the top 5 things about smart filtering that we're going to discuss and show you today. First of all, the terminology. When you're using filtering, there is a certain terminology that you do need to understand and use, so Ian will be talking about that. Then static versus live data filtering. So do you want the list that doesn't change, or do you want it to change as and when changes are made in the system? Quick versus advanced filtering. So you can have a quick basic filter, or you can get a bit more advanced and start using filter combinations. We'll show you how to save views and where they're saved. And finally, transactional filtering. So filtering at transactional level is great if you have an invoice query or to get key questions answered by people from sales or management or in other departments who come up to you and ask you for something very specific and they want it quite quickly. Okay, so before we do the demo, I'm going to launch a quick poll just to see how much you're currently using filtering. And so if you wouldn't mind putting your answers in, and once I found out the results, I'll let you know and then I'll hand over to Ian. So I'm just going to launch it now. If you wouldn't mind putting in your results, that'd be brilliant. Okay, they're just coming through now. Just probably wait a few more seconds just to see who comes through. Puts it in. Okay, so it all looks like a lot of you use it every day and it's essential, which is brilliant. So hopefully you can add just a few, more tips and tricks to you. So 80% are saying every day, 20% are saying just for ad hoc queries and reports only. Okay, no problems. So I'm now going to hand it over to Ian, who's going to show you the top 5 things about smart filtering.
Thanks, Karen. Hi, everyone. Today I'm using Business Central. I'm using the latest version. I'm using the on-premise version today, just to be a little bit different. I've used the web in the previous few. And this is a standard installation, so there's nothing fancy going on here. For filtering, I'm going to start off by kind of going to my customers page. And one of the important things is filtering we use on any screen in Business Central or Nav where you have a list of information. So here I've got a list of customers. I can use filtering. If I had a list of vendors, a list of bank accounts, or even my chart of accounts, which is really just a list of general ledger accounts, then filtering is enabled. If you're just in one record, so you're in a customer card, then you don't really have filtering capabilities. The other place where you can find filters is on reports. So whenever you run a report, one of the first things that it does, it asks you some questions, and these are actually filters. And the filters that you see here are the same filters that we will see on our pages. So whatever you do here, you can do in reports and vice versa. So just looking at our customer screen, and usually I expect to see my filters in this area somewhere. If you don't see them, you can turn them on by putting in the ticks here, or you can use this up and down arrow, collapse and expand, to show the filters. Now you've got a few types of filters in here. So this one up in the corner, this is your quick filter. So if you just want to filter on one field very quickly, you can type it in here, hit the little button, and that filters your list. You've got your advanced filter on this side. So if you want to do multiple filters, you can do them in here, and this will filter on any field that's visible in your display, plus some background fields. And we also have a limit total filter. And the limit total filter, that's got a very reduced list of things that you can filter on. Currency is usually there, your date filter is usually there, your two global dimensions, in this case salesperson and team, they're also there. So if you're wanting to filter by date, by your global dimensions, or by currency, you might need to look in the limit totals area. So those are the three different areas of filtering. These two are the same ones that are available on reports. This one is unique to the screens on the system. One nice thing with the quick filter, if you have a list, and let's say I want to see all the customers related to location yellow, if you right click on that, you get a filter to this value option, and that fills in your quick filter for you. And you can immediately see I'm only seeing customers related to location yellow. To turn off your quick filter, hit the little X, and I see everything. One of the things that Karen mentioned was the difference between static and dynamic filters. So what do we mean by that? If I filtered this list of customers and I chose to view, let's say, these 5 or 6 customers, that's a static list. It doesn't change. These 6 customers are always these 6 customers. But what if I chose to filter by something that does change? If I look at the balance for these customers, and if I chose to filter by everyone who had a balance of £1,499.03. As soon as any transaction is posted against Progressive Home Furniture's, they don't have that balance anymore. So suddenly my list changes every time transactions are posted. So that's the difference between static and dynamic filtering. They're both very useful, but this dynamic filtering comes in really handy a little bit later on when we want to start saving interesting views. The other thing is, if we look at the list of fields which we can filter by, number, name, etc. If I look at that drop down there, I can see there's a good dozen fields that I can filter on, and you will notice that it's the same as the column headings that I'm seeing here. So the one at the bottom of the list is search name. If I scroll to the right of my page, my last column is search name. If I change the columns that I'm viewing here, whoops, picked up on another page, and I remove search name. So it's not there anymore, it's disappeared from my columns, and I will notice it's not available as a field that I can filter on anymore. Not to worry, you've got the little all button at the top, and this shows you all of the fields that it is possible to filter on. And you will notice there are an awful lot of them, and this includes hidden fields in the background, fields that you'll never see as column headings. So if I scroll right down this list, I can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different fields that have got something to do with that I can filter on. But if I looked at the columns that are available for me, I only have one column that I can add to my report that's got something to do with that. So those hidden columns that you can't see, you can filter on them by going to the All button to find them. Right, so let's start off by creating some nice sample filters. I'm going to go to a different list, which is a bit more interesting, customer ledger entries. You'll notice when I search for something, I don't type the entire thing in up here. I just type in the first few letters of each word. That usually gets me to where I want to go. So if I'm looking at customer ledger entries, this is more interesting because we've got some columns with numbers, some columns with dates, etc. As I said, if we want to do a quick filter, we just wanted to see all the credit memos, for example. We could go up here, we could type in credit memo in the document type and hit the little arrow. We can right click on credit memo and say filter to this value. Either way, the quick filter very quickly knocks down your list for you. But if you want to do something a little more advanced, and let's say we want to search for things based on a posting date. So where the posting date is equal to the 18th of the 1st, 2021. As soon as I hit tab or enter, whoops, oh dear, I put in a very bad value there, 2021, that's better. I see all the transactions for that date. But there are some little formulas that you can put in up here that expand rather than just looking at a date. Whenever I've got a date, I can put 2 dots behind it, and that means everything from this date going forwards. As soon as I press tab, now I'll see every transaction from the 18th of the 1st and after. If I did it the other way around and I put the dots in before the date, that means from the beginning of time up until the 18th of the 1st. And now my list has changed and I'm starting to see the stuff from prior to the 18th of the 1st. You can also give it a start and an end date, so I could take it from the 1st of the 1st, for example. And now we can see everything in between and including these 2 dates. So that's very nice on the dates. So I can do for a specific date, for a range of dates, up to and including one date, or from one date onwards. But there are some nice shortcut keys you can put on the dates. For example, if you just put in the letter T, that gives you today's date, and that's the date according to your computer. So the 17th of the 9th, 2019, don't have any transactions for that date. But the nice thing is, if I click there, it remembers that I put the T. What I could also put there is a W. W is my working date, which you can see at the bottom of my screen. I've set to the 29th of January 2021. So as soon as I tab off that one, now it shows me transactions for the 29th of the 1st, 2021. So that's 2 very useful shortcut keys, but there are a few more that people probably don't use very often. If I put in an M, it will find the Monday of whatever week this date is, and it will put in that date. I checked earlier, and the 25th of January 2021 is Monday of this week. So it's showing me transactions for Monday of my current working week. If I wanted to get Tuesday, I'd be tempted to put a T, but remember that gives me today's date. So it's a TU, gives me Tuesday's date, the 26th. W gives me the work date, but WE gives me Wednesday's date. TH, Thursday. F for Friday. SA for Saturday. And SU gets me Sunday, based on my working date. There is another shortcut, CM. CM gets the ending date of the current month. And again, that's based on today's date, not my working date. So it's going to give me the 30th of the 9th, 2019. So this month's ending date. And CW gives me the end of the current week based on today's date. So that's very nice. I can get to any one of those dates. But again, I can use those dot filters and I can expand them. So instead of just looking at Monday's transactions, I can say, show me all the transactions from Monday going forwards. And suddenly I'm seeing everything from Monday and after. Or I could do everything up until Sunday, from the beginning of time up until this week, Sunday. I get the list. And very nicely, it remembers what I typed in. It doesn't convert it to a date for me. So with the dates, there's those little shortcuts of using the first letter or the first two letters of a day, CM for the current month, W for your work date, T for today, and you can use those dots with the shortcuts. So we've got this list. I've chosen everything up to and including Sunday, but we can do something a little bit more interesting than that. We can combine filters together. So let's go and choose all the ones where the value was for more than £1,000. Let's use the amount local currency. Simply add a new column, a new filter, find the amount local currency. Because I can see it as a column, I know I'm going to find it in this list. And everything where the amount is greater than, so I use the greater than symbol, £1,000. If I wanted everything less than 1,000, guess what? I'd use the less than symbol. I want everything greater than. I also want anything that's equal to 1,000, so greater than or equal to 1,000, show that to me. As soon as I press tab, now I'm seeing everything up to and including Sunday where the transaction value is more than £1,000. We can go further, we can add more filters, and we're only really interested in the ones which are in US dollars. So we simply add another filter. We find the currency column, which is, there it is, can't see it for looking. I can type in USD or I can search in the drop-down box, but this is easy. I'm just going to type it in. And as soon as I press tab, now I'm seeing transactions up to and including Sunday for more than 1,000 that are in USD. So very easy to combine things. But sometimes it does get a little tricky. What if I only want to see the currencies which are blank, so they're in GBPs? If I add a filter and I say where the currency code is blank, I would expect it to give me the blanks, but it doesn't. It gives me everything. There is a specific way of showing it that I'm interested in the blanks, and that is to open a single quote and then close the single quote without typing anything in between, just so the system knows I'm looking for nothing. And as soon as I press tab, now it shows me all the blanks. So there's a nice little shortcut for finding the blanks. On the values, you can use, just put in the number 1,000, it would find those transactions exactly equal to 1,000. You can use less than equal to, greater than equal to. And again, just like you did with the dates, you can use the dot convention. So you could say everything from 1,000 up to 2,000. and you can do the range if you wanted to. So now I'm only seeing between 1,000 and 2,000. So you've got a lot of variety in what you can do on each filter by itself, and then you can combine filters together to make it a little bit more advanced. And if you want to get really advanced, you'll notice I'm only showing my advanced filters here. Let me turn on my limit filters too. And we can go and add where the date filter, which is going to be the remaining amount, I believe. You can put in a date, up to which point it needs to add these numbers up. So you can start combining a quick filter with advanced filters with a limit totals filter if you really want to. And as Karen mentioned, very good for answering an ad hoc query. So somebody comes in and says, oh, up until Sunday, all the transactions between 1,000 and 2,000 pounds that are in GBPs, can you tell me what they are? Filter my list, highlight it, copy the rows, paste into Excel and send it off to that person. Okay, let's get back to a customer page and we'll have a look at some other fancy things we can do with filters. So I'm looking at customers now. I've just got a limit totals filter set to my work date, and you can see its effect. The customers have a balance, the balance due up to and including this date. That's what my limit total is doing. We can do some fancy filters where we can select more than one thing at a time. So let's say I wanted to see just customer 10,000, 20,000 and 30,000. Now you probably know how to do this. You type in 10,000, you put in that little pipe symbol, 20,000, and again the pipe symbol, 30,000. As soon as you tab off, you're just seeing the ones that you selected in the list. This is a static list. Those customers are those customers and they're not going to change. Whereas if I'd done the filter on the balance changes, remember, so customers may come onto and fall out based on my filter if I start filtering on these columns. There is also a wildcard filter, which you've probably used before. The asterisk or the store, whichever you want to call it. So this is saying, show me all the customers that start with 1 with anything after that. Now, there's only one customer who starts with a 1, and that's 10,000. If I said all the customers who start with a 2 with anything after the 2, it gives me all the customers who start with a 2. And again, we use that dot convention on amounts. We use the dot convention on dates. We can also use it on customer numbers. So everything from 10,000 up to 20,000. Oh, I only get 2 in my list. Let's take it up to 30,000. 10,000, 20,000, up to 30,000. Now you might be a little bit upset that it's brought through these numbers here, which are much bigger than 30,000. And this is where we have to remember the way that Business Central stores our information. It's not storing these things as numbers, it's storing them as text. So 30,000 is bigger than all of these because it starts with a 3. So that's the logic that Business Central is using. So the sort order and the way that sorting is important. Now, let's put all of this knowledge together. Let's say I'm in sales. I want to get a list of all the posted sales invoices for this week. Question that someone might ask. First thing, go to my posted sales invoices. So currently I'm looking at all of my posted sales invoices. I want to get all of the ones for this week. So I'm interested in the posting date, which I hope is here. Nope, it's not here on my list. So it's not one of the columns that I can see. Don't worry, we go to the all fields, we scroll down to P for posting. Posting date is there. So just because we can't see it doesn't mean we can't filter. I want everything for this week, so I could type in, this week being January 2021, I could type in 25th of the 1st 2021 ... but that's hard work, and I don't like hard work. So let me rather type in everything from Monday up to and including Sunday. Much quicker way of putting in my dates. I now have a list of all the posted sales invoices for this week. What I can do with this list, this is something that I want to look at every day, and I'm going to look at this 2 or 3 times a day. I want to save this so I don't have to keep typing this in. I come up here to my heading, I click Save View As, I give it a name, my sales list, for example. I choose where I want it to go. So at the moment I'm saying it goes on the Home tab, Home, so it's up on this list. I can choose any of these menu options down here, but I'll leave it on Home. I say OK. These effects will come into place next time we restart, so I'm just restarting quickly. And now on my Home tab, a new element has been headed called My Sales List. And there it is. I'm looking at all of the posted sales invoices from Monday to Sunday of this week that I'm interested in. I can, if I wish, come and save this, and if I click there, it even remembers what I typed in Monday to Sunday if I change my week to Sunday to Saturday, for example. So that puts it all together. Next week, when I change my working week and I come and open this, it will have different dates here. It will recognize Monday of whatever date I'm working with. So this list will keep changing according to today's date. So again, that's another way of getting a nice dynamic list that you can use again and again and again. That's it from me, guys. I'll pass back to Karen unless there are any questions.
Okay, so if you do have any questions for Ian about what he's shown you so far or anything else with filtering, if you just want to submit them in the question boxes now. We'll just wait a couple of minutes for people to do that. Okay, we have one in at the moment. So are there any limitations with filtering?
Are there any limitations? Well, yes, there are. No, there aren't. So on my advanced filter, I can add here as many of these as I want. The system's not going to complain, but in all seriousness, if I end up filling the screen with filters and I put a value in each one, it's going to get really slow. And if you are putting in 20 filters to try and answer a question, you're probably looking in the wrong place. Maybe we should take a step back and look somewhere else for the information. There is another limitation. So if I'm choosing a list of customers, I can put in up to 250 characters in this field. So if it's going to get bigger than 250 characters, we're going to have to find a different way of filtering our list. But apart from that, there aren't many restrictions.
Okay. There's another one here. How is filtering better than just using standard reports or account schedules?
Well, it's not necessarily better. Sometimes it's more convenient. For instance, if you don't have a standard report that gives you this week's sales, you can get it very quickly without having to ask someone to write a report for you. And also remember, when we're looking at the standard reports on the system, so let's see the customer order summary report, that same stuff that you learn about filtering your lists on the screen, you can use them to filter your reports. So you can start using filtering hand in hand with reports to actually make your reports more meaningful. Another very useful feature is if you've got hundreds of thousands of transactions, you want to hit that copy and paste into Excel hundreds of thousands of rows. I think when it gets to about 65,000, your computer's going to start complaining. So sometimes you have to filter that list down to a smaller number before you can move it to Excel. So I wouldn't say it's better, but they work hand in hand, and sometimes it just helps you to get a quick answer, really.
Okay, I've got another one here. Can you use or as well as and as an argument?
Technically, yes. So that's actually a very good question. So when I chose that list of customer 10,000, 20,000 and 30,000, I was actually saying or. 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000. So where the customer number equals this number or that number or the next number, it gives me those three. We can use AND, but you will not get the results that you expect. So if I put in the ANDs, it doesn't give me anything. So what I'm saying there is, show me where the customer number equals 10,000 and 20,000 and 30,000 at the same time. And there is no customer who has all three customer numbers at once. So it works slightly differently to the way that our normal logic works. What the AND is really good for is for a backwards kind of filtering. So when we did that pipe, we added new elements to my list. So I said 10,000 pipe, 20,000, added another one to the list. Sometimes you want to take things off your list. So I'm showing all of the customers. Let's say I don't want to see 10,000. Now 10,000 has been taken off the list, so it's where the customer number does not equal 10,000. If I don't want to see 20,000 as well, instead of using the pipe, I have to use the AND sign, and not equal to 20,000. And we should notice 20,000 disappears. And the same thing to remove 30,000, I'd say AND not equal to 30,000. So the pipe, which is actually OR, adds things to the list. The AND, which is an AND, is used when you want to take things off the list.
Okay. And the last one is, are there any shortcut keys as in the earlier versions of NAV?
Off the top of my head, I cannot remember the shortcut keys from the earlier versions of NAV, but they should probably still work. And whoever's asking that question, if you want to drop me an email, I will have a look into that for you and get back to you afterwards.
Okay, great. Right, okay. So I'm going to leave you with the top 5 takeaways about smart filtering, which we hope will assist you. So smart filtering is as powerful as the information you put into it. As you're filtering on a specific field or value in that field, then the more information you can have about your customers, vendors, accounts, transactions, the more granular you can actually filter by. So live versus static data views. Live is dependent on a value, so it will change, whereas static allows you to pick what you want. So really you need to kind of understand what changes and what doesn't, and have a good think about what you're trying to do and what the end result is before deciding if you want a live or a static view. Now remember, there are hidden fields in NAV and Business Central that you can filter by. These are background fields which aren't visible in the standard pages, and some of them may be system calculated. So when you are filtering, have a good look at all the fields that you can filter by, because some of them might be very useful for you. And think about how much time smart filtering can save you rather than an Excel data dump. So for example, how long do you think it would take to dump out 80,000 transactional queries into Excel before having to work on them with custom formulas? It might also slow your system down. So then realise how much quicker and easier it could be to filter on the data first and then export if needed. Okay, so you found this webinar interesting and informative. This is the 18th in the series of webinars, as previously mentioned, and we will be sending out emails soon to register for the next one, and we'll put a reminder. We do have a plan for next year's webinars as well, so have a look at the website and you can start registering for those too. Okay, thanks for attending. I will close this session and a survey will appear. It'd be great if you could respond with some feedback or any further questions that you have. If you do want to respond afterwards, feel free to email me at marketing@tvisiontech.co.uk. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.